Hi everybody, welcome to Push Luck Video. My name is Eric, and in this very special edition, we'll be taking a look at Origins 2017. Now, this is the first time I've actually attended Origins. I previously attended Gen Con and the New York Toy Fair, but I've never been to Origins, and I've heard so much about it. And so I decided to take this opportunity to go to Origins and see for myself what it's all about. So, since being the first time there, I was lucky enough to get a room with Joel Eddy of Drive Thru Review, and we stayed at the Hampton Inn. And it is a very good hotel because it's just right across the convention center, and also a lot of the other podcasters like the Secret Cabal, Blue Pack, Pink Pack, and the Longview were all staying in the same hotel. So we had a lot of fun. We could play a lot of games together, and it was easy for us to zoom in and out of the hall. Alright, so I had quite a lot of fun. It is a event that doesn't really take a lot of time. It's not as intense as Gen Con. You don't need to spend a lot of time in the dealer hall. You do spend a lot of time probably in the games hall, where you can play a lot of games, do demos and stuff like that. And also you can spend a lot more time at the various hotels, because the hotels allow you to play the games in the various floors. There's many tables for you to play games and charge your phones and stuff like that. So all in all, it is not as intense as Gen Con, but I had a lot of fun because of all the friends that I met there, and so it's like kind of like a reunion of sorts, to meet up with friends, play games with them, and just hang out with the publishers and talk to designers as well. So in this special edition, we'll be looking at all the games that I've played at Origins. I'll give you a brief overview and also my thoughts about the games, and whether you should take a look at it or not. And some of these games I will do a more in-depth review later on. But for now, this is my brief first impressions of the games that I've played. So without further ado, let's go to the first game in this series. I would also like to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel and also like this video, because every little bit counts and it will definitely help me. You can also leave feedback and also your comments as well, and it will be great to hear from you. Up, 2017 release, Magic Maze. This plays 1 to 8 players, 3 to 15 minutes, and it's a co-op game. If you think in terms of Escape the Temple, this is pretty much similar to it, except that also players do not need to talk. What they're trying to do is trying to get the different colored pawns to the different activation locations, which will then change the game into phase 2, where then you need to get all the pawns to the escape point as quick as you can. There will be an hourglass, and there are only a certain number of areas on the spot in a maze where you can pause the time. Once the time runs out, if you do not succeed, then you lose the game. Otherwise, if you manage to get all the pawns out or the exit, then you win the game. There are many different levels later on, where there are advanced levels where the different colored pawns need to go to a specific location or specific exit to get out of the maze. The interesting thing is also that each player will only be able to control one particular direction of a pawn or one particular power. So for example, I may only be able to move pawns to the left, and then another player may only be able to move pawns to the right. So it requires every player to be observing the map, the maze, alright, very diligently, so that they know when they need to move the pawns. It is also a real-time game. So it's pretty intense, quite fun. Now, would I want to play again? Yes, I would. Would I want to seek a copy for myself? Most likely, I would want to do that. So that's Magic Maze by designer Casper Lab, publisher Packager Spiel or Sit Down. Next is Outlive, a 2017 release by publisher Le Bouteur de Jour and designer Gregory Oliver. This is a 1 to 4 player game, takes about 40 to 110 minutes to play, and it's pretty much in the vein of Fallout or Fallout Shelter, the very famous video games. So what you're trying to do is to keep your survivors alive and score as many points as you can. So after 5 or 6 rounds, whoever has the most points will win the game. You want to manage the different rooms in your shelter, manage the survivors in your shelter while trying to fend off events which are pretty difficult, as we found out, to manage in the game itself. The interesting thing about this game is the worker displacement mechanism. So each player will have 4 different workers with different action points that you can activate. Now, when you move them, you're actually moving them from one one location to another to activate the location and use those action points to activate the location. The other interesting thing about the game is that when you move a worker with high AP or action points to a location where there are other players, workers there, you get to pressure them. So that means they will either need to use bullets for each AP that they have less than you, or give you a resource for each AP that's less than you. So that's pretty interesting to go. To play the game. The components for this Kickstarter version was amazing. Alright, there's actually like ribs that are plastic ribs, and the player meeples, worker meeples are very cool too, but they're not really that functional. So it's a toss up between how beautiful it looks and how functional it is. Would I play it again? Yes. Would I seek out a copy of it? Most likely not. I don't really see myself playing a lot of it, and if you do not get the Kickstarter version, the base version is pretty lackluster for it. So if you do want to get a copy of it, you must get the Kickstarter version of it. So this is Outlive by La Boudeau de Jour. Next up is Not Alone by Stronghold Games. Alright, it's by designer Ghislaine Masson. Plays 2 to 7 players, takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. It is a one versus many type of game where the one is the alien and is trying to assimilate all the other survivors that have crashed landed on its planet. And mechanically what they're trying to do is to make their own pawn reach the center of the board first. Alright, whoever can do that first will win the game. The alien does it by being at locations where the survivors are at, which will make them lose will. And if they lose all 3 wills, each survivor has 3 wills. If they make them lose all 3 wills, then the alien will get to move their token, the pawn, 1 step forward. If just being at the same place as the alien token, alright, the alien player will also get to move his token 1 step forward. The survivors get to move their pawn every turn. Alright, every turn they'll get to move their pawn 1 step. If they manage to go to the beach, there's a beach location where they can activate it in 2 turns, then they manage to move their pawn as well. Now, I play this both as an alien and as a survivor, and to me it's pretty okay. Would I want to play it again? Maybe. I think I've played enough of it that I don't really need to play it again now. Alright, would I seek out a copy? Most probably not. Maybe if someone else has a copy, I don't mind playing again, but for myself, most likely not. So that's Not Alone by Stronghold Games. Next up is not a new game by Origins. It's actually a game that my friend Zach brought with him to play. It's Dreisen ein zu viel, or 3 is a crowd. It's a 2015 release. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 25 minutes to play. It is pretty much in the same vein as 6 Nimmt, where players will try to not play the 5th card, because if they do, right, they'll get some cards. But in this game, you are trying to get some cards, but not too many. So if you get 2 of the same color, you will get 5 points. If you only get 1, you get 1 point. But if you get 3 of the same colors, you need to discard the 3 cards, and they become negative points for you. You're also trying to get 7 different colors, because if you do, you get 10 points. If you manage to keep the 7 different colors until the end of the game, you also get another 10 points. Otherwise, if you get 6, you get 5 points. So it is a very interesting game. I liked it a lot. It is by designer Christoph Beher and Reinhard Stopp, and by publisher Amigo Spiel. So would I want to play again? Yes. Would I want to seek out a copy for myself? Yes. I had a lot of fun with this. I think Amigo Spiel has an amazing series of card games that are pretty fun to play, easy to learn, easy to teach, and plays quite a few players as well. So that's 3 is a crowd. Next up is Barenpark. This is a 2017 release. It plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 30 to 45 minutes to play. It's by designer Phil Walker Harding, and it is published by Mayfair Games. So this is very much like games like Patchwork, and I think like Zulorado in a way, where you're trying to build your park that is filled with bears, like polar bears and gobi bears and different types of bears. So you're getting these pieces that look like Tetris pieces, and then you're trying to put them into your park as best as you can, fill up the parks, because different spaces that you fill up will allow you to get different types of pieces, which will also score you different points. And so each player would usually be building up to 4 different squares 4 types of square, 4 squares into their park, and then when the game ends, they'll try to see how many points they get. There's also a more advanced variant where you get end goal objectives, and I think that should be the way to play the game, because anything else would be a bit too easy to play. So would I want to play again? Yes, I would. I had fun, and I would like to try it again with the advanced variant. Would I seek out a copy of it? Most probably not. It is fun, but it is not different enough that I would want to have a copy for myself. So that's Barenpark by Mayfair Games. Next up is sneak preview. Alright, this is a game called Warhammer Shadespire. So this would be coming out from GW Games sometime in November-December period. It is a 2 to 4 player game where players control a warband, and then they are moving on these hexes on the board, and then they're trying to gain objectives to score points to win the game. They can also eliminate the opponents, but ultimately it's still the objective points that will win you the game. So it reminds me a lot about HeroScape in a way, and also Magic the Gathering, that HeroScape version of Magic the Gathering, where you have a deck of cards and you're playing cards from your hand, and you're moving the miniatures or your team across the board and trying to kill each other, shoot each other, and then roll dice to determine whether you hit or not. It is pretty interesting. It definitely makes it's definitely a board gamey version of a miniatures game, and so should be interesting and should be appealing to board gamers who always wanted to try the Warhammer world but never managed to get into it. So would I want to play again? Yes, I would definitely want to play again. Would I want to get a copy for myself? Yes, most likely I want to get it as well, because I do like the Warhammer universe, especially Warhammer 40k. So if they have future plans for implementing this in the Warhammer 40k universe, that will be very interesting. So that's Warhammer Shadespire. Next up is Doctor Who, Time of the Daleks. This is a 2017 release. I think it will be coming around Gen Con. It is by designer Andrew Holt and by publisher Guildforce 9. So I did not get to play this, but I sat through an explanation of how the game works. What happens is that players, it is a semi-co-op game in a way that players are still trying to be the first to reach Gallifrey, but at the same time they need to work together to defeat the Daleks, which are also trying to reach Gallifrey. So if the Daleks reach Gallifrey first, which is like the center part of the board, then everybody loses. But if a doctor managed to reach the center first, alright, then he wins, but every other doctor survives. So players are playing doctors, and they're trying to get companions to complement the dice that they can roll, and then when they'll try to go to different time eras to try to solve different dilemmas that happen by rolling these dice. So would I want to play it? Yes, I would. I would like to give it a try. I'm quite a big Doctor Who fan thanks to my wife. So I'd like to see how this is compared to the other Doctor Who games. Would I want to get a copy? I'm not so sure. I would like to definitely try it with other people's copy first before I decide for myself. So that's Doctor Who, Time of the Daleks. Next, we have Terraforming Mars. So this is a 2016 release by Stronghold Games. Plays 1 to 5 players and takes about 90 to 120 minutes. The reason why I wanted to play this because, well, Blue Pack, Pink Pack were there, and I wanted to play a game with them. And I have only played the solo version of Terraforming Mars, and I wasn't too enamored with it. I kind of got why people like it, but didn't really tick off a lot of boxes for me. So I really wanted to give the multiplayer version a try, and it is definitely much more better as a multiplayer game than a solo game. There's a lot of the cards make more sense because you kind of screw with other players, steal their plants and stuff like that. And also there's a lot more interactions because it's not following a script in a way, and other players also will really want to score points, so what they're playing is more strategic and more competitive. So definitely multiplayer version of the Terraforming Mars is the way to go. Would I want to play again? Yes, I would. Would I want to own a copy? I already own a copy, so that's a no, not really answer there. Would I want to look at expansions? Yes, I think there's a few expansions that Stephen Bonacore has scheduled in for Terraforming Mars, so I definitely want to check out the expansions and see what they add to the game itself. So that's Terraforming Mars by Stronghold Games. Next up, we have Caverna, Cave vs. Cave. This is a 2017 release, plays 1 to 2 players, takes about 20 to 40 minutes, and is published by Mayfair Games. Designer Uwe Rosenberg. So this is next in the 2-player series from Mayfair Games. Previously they released Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small, and also the Inland Pot. Alright, the half the Inland Pot. So some of the other 2-player game series felt a bit incomplete, but Caverna Cave vs. Cave feels a bit more like a complete game than the others. This is, I think, definitely the best in this 2-player series so far from Mayfair Games. I had a lot of fun playing it. What happens is that players are trying to build the different rooms so that they can score gold, which is points. The rooms themselves also give points as well. So you are trying to manage the different resources and then use these resources to turn them into rooms. You also need to dig rooms. So in the cave, most of the spaces are blocked out. So you need to figure out how to dig to release these rooms as well, and also build walls so that you can build the rooms, because some of the rooms have wall requirements. So would I want to play again? Yes, I would definitely want to play again, especially want to try the single player mode and see what it's like. Would I seek out a copy for myself? Yes, I would. I think it's something that I can play with my wife as well. So that's Caverna Cave vs. Cave, publisher Mayfair Games. Next we have Codenames Duet. This is a 2017 release. Plays 2 players and is by designer Vlada Chivato and Scott Eaton, and also by publisher Czech Games Edition. So if you are familiar with Codenames, this is a 2-player version where you're working cooperatively together to try and get all your team members before the number of turns runs out. Every mistake you make will make the number of turns you have that much shorter. Alright. It also has a very interesting play in the sense that both of you are now sharing one clue card. Alright, but you're both seeing different parts of the board. Alright, you're sharing the same board, you're sharing one clue card, but you see different sides of the clue card. Alright, the thing is that 3 of the spaces are marked assassins, but actually only one of them is a real assassin. So you're trying to figure that out as well, and also you're trying to finish the game before the number of turns ends. The other interesting thing about this game is that there's a campaign version where you and your partner will play through a series of levels that's been designed to become harder as you move away from, I think, a city in Europe. So it's very interesting. I had a lot of fun playing it, and it was pretty difficult to play as well. So would I want to play again? Yes, I would. Would I want to get a copy? Yes, I would. I think it will be interesting to try to play the campaign mode with my wife and see what happens. So that's Codenames Duet by publisher Czech Games Edition. Next we have Rhein River Trade. This is a 2016 release. Plays 2 to 5 players, takes about 16 to 120 minutes. It's by designer Marco Canetta and Stefania Nicolini. By publisher De Veer Americas. Alright, this is a very simple, straightforward pick up and deliver game where players are moving from one end of the board to the other end of the board while delivering goods along the way. It is a modern version of pick up and deliver because the theme is based on trucks, ships, and airplanes. Alright, so pretty straightforward. There's nothing really different about it. It feels very, very much like a gateway pick up and deliver game. There is a bit of freeloading involved where if a player tries to go for this particular location, if you manage to get a contract that also goes to the same location, maybe that other player, you can get the other player to invest in a particular mode of transport first, and then you will not need to spend so much money. At the end of the game, whoever has the most money will win the game. Would I want to play it again? No, mostly because it is a very simple, lightweight game. Nothing really particularly fantastic about it. Would I want to own a copy? No, mostly because of reasons why I would not want to play it again. So this is Rhein River Trade by publisher De Veer Americas. Next, we have the very beautiful Sagrada. This is a 2017 release. Plays 1 to 4 players, takes about 20 to 40 minutes to play. It's by designer Adrian Adamescu and Daryl Andrews. It's by publisher Floodgate Games. In it, players are trying to, there'll be, at the start of every round, a bunch of dice will be rolled, different colors, different pips, and then in snake-like turn order, players are trying to choose one dice and try to fit it into this grid that they have, that they chose from the start. Alright, so the grid may have certain restrictions, like you must place a specific color at a particular location in the grid, or you must place a dice with a specific number on it. There are also other restrictions that you cannot place 2 dice that are of the same color or the same number next to each other. So in this way, players are trying to fill up all the all the entire grid as best as they can, while also trying to be mindful of the different endgame objectives that will score them points. Right, whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win the game. So it's fun. It's beautiful to look at. I like the components are also very excellent, because the dice, instead of sitting free form on the sheet itself, they have a very nice cardboard insert where you place the dice and it fits snugly into your player board. So would I want to play again? Yes, I would. I had a lot of fun playing it. I would like to try the single player version and see what different it is, but definitely I had a lot of fun playing it. Would I want to seek out a copy for myself? Quite likely, because there's so many dice in there, and many different colored dice, and it all looks very pretty when you assemble them to form your stained glass window. So that's Sagrada by publisher Floodgate Games. Next we have, I think it's probably the hit of the con, Century Spice Road. It is a 2017 release, plays 2 to 5 players, takes about 30 to 45 minutes, and it's by designer Emerson Matsushi, and it's also by publisher Plan B Games. And so this has been touted as the Splendor Killer, or Splendor version 2.0, and after playing it quite a few times, I have to agree with that. But I do believe that actually both Splendor and Century Spice Roads can exist in your collection. So in Century Spice Roads, players start with only 2 cards, and as the game progresses, they're trying to build their deck so that they can then use this deck of cards to get spices, or get cubes. In this case, get cubes and try to upgrade the spices, eventually having a collection of different spices so that they can then exchange them for victory point cards. The game will end depending on how many players there are. Once the player has collected 5 or 6 victory point cards, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win the game. Now the other interesting thing about this is that there are 2 victory point cards which will have tokens on them, which will give extra 3 points or extra 1 point. So it helps, if it definitely inspires players to try to aim for these 2 particular cards, because not only do you get the points on the victory point cards, you also get extra 3 points and extra 1 point, and these extra points will definitely help to tip you over to win the game. Very fun, easy to play, easy to understand, and can result in very tense moments, because if players set themselves up to be able to take 2 or 3 of the different victory point cards, and then you have a situation where everybody's in a kind of standoff, trying to see what you're trying to do, trying to anticipate what you're trying to do, and get the victory point cards to win the game. So would I want to play again? Yes, definitely I want to play again. Would I want to own a copy? Yes. Definitely this is a game that I think will a lot of players will enjoy it quite a bit, and it is easy to play and easy to understand and easy to teach as well. So that's Century Spice Road by publisher Plan B Games. Next, Wits and Wages. This is the Vegas edition. Alright, it's by North Star Games. They had a event, like a speakeasy type event, where they give you a chip, a poker chip, and then you go to this underground part of Barley's, and then they had set up everything nicely where you can play Vegas Wits and Wages. So it takes 5 to 21 players, takes about 20-30 minutes, and it's by designer Dominic Krapuchitz. It's by publisher North Star Games. So the main differences between Vegas Wits and Wages and the normal Wits and Wages is that there's now a playing mat, alright, that looks very much like a roulette table that you find at casinos. So now players will bet. It's a very nice quality mouse mat material, and then you will bet on different parts similar to Wits and Wages. Now there's also a area where you can bet on the red area, the black area as well, and also parts where it will be blocked off by the dealer. So you need to have a dealer as well. So we only played 1 round because then we had to go, different players had to go, but we did get a good sense of the game. It definitely helps to it's definitely much more thematic now with the playing mat and the different poker chips that we have when we used to bet on other players. This will be coming out in Kickstarter very soon, and would I want to get a copy? Most likely not, because I don't really play a lot of party games, especially because Wits and Wages is also quite localized to America, and I do not know that much facts in the various questions. Would I want to get a copy for myself? Most likely not as well, based on why I would probably not be playing the game. So that's Vegas, Wits and Wagers by publisher North Star Games. Next we have Unearth, 2017 release by designer Jason Harner and Matthew Ransom. It's 2 to 4 players, takes about 25 to 50 minutes to play, and is by publisher Brotherwise Games. This is one of the more beautiful games I've seen at a convention. It reminds me a lot of Monuments Valley, the video game. So what in this game, what you're trying to do is you need to determine where you want to put your dice. Then you roll a dice. So you have a D4, a D6, and a D12 or a D8 or D10. Alright, after you decide where you want to place the dice, you roll a dice, and you will then put your dice onto that location. So you're trying to win these locations, and you win it by when the number on these locations are met by the sum total of all the dice there, regardless of whoever has dice there. Then whoever has the most sum total of the dice there will win that card. And these cards will give you points at the end of the game. Based on also your secret objective as well. You can also then, if you roll a 1 to 3, I think 1 to 4, 1 to 2, right, you can also claim a particular building block that you can then put into your own player tableau. You can build up a building block if you have six building blocks, you can then look at the landmarks, alright, and claim one of them if you have the right combination of building blocks. So the game will end after a number of rounds, and whoever has the most points will win the game. So pretty much dice rolling and seeing what happens with the dice roll, and then see whether you can claim the cards and so on and so forth. So you could mitigate the dice roll by playing safe, or you could push your luck and see whether you can roll high and get the cards that you need much more faster than your opponent. So will I want to play the game? Will I want to play the game again? Yes, I want to try it and see, because I didn't really finish the game. I only played like 2 or 3 rounds just to get a feel of it. Will I want to get a copy? Most likely not, unlikely. I would rather play and see it fully before I decide whether I want to get a copy for myself or not. So that's Unearth by publisher Brotherwise Games. Get Lit is a 2014 release. It's not a new game. It is by Market Spiel or Jacques Verlac. So they produce a series of games that are really small form boxes, and one of the favorite games from them is Kakerlaken Poker or Cockroach Poker. So Get Lit is in the same vein. It's a party game, plays 3 to 6 players, takes about 15 to 20 minutes to play, and what you're doing is that they're trying to play fuse cards into 2 stacks in the middle of the table, and you're trying to then decide when you want to collect or make the fuse explode, and then collect the cards, and that will be your scoring cards. At the same time, you have all these water cards that you can use to defuse or water down or put out a fire, which will then wash all the fuse cards on any of these 2 rows on the middle of the table. So the game will end when a bomb explode card appears in the deck, and then we will count out the points. Whoever has the most points will win the game. So it's simple, it's light, it's quick to play. It can be a bit confusing what certain things do, and like, oh, you're trying to make it explode so you can get the points, or you're trying to put the higher point cards down first, but then other people may swoop in to get it and stuff like that. So it's a very push your luck game. Would I want to play it again? No, not really. I think I had my feel of it. I would much prefer other games like Kakerlaken Poker rather than Get Lit. Would I seek out a copy of it? No, I probably would not. So that's Get Lit by Jacques Verlac. Exoplanets. It is a 2015 game. It plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 45 to 60 minutes, and is I'm not going to try to butcher the name of the designer, but the publisher is Board and Dice and Greater Than Games. So what you're trying to do is that you are trying to create species and create life on these different planets in a solar system, and from there you're going to score points. There are also objectives that you're trying to meet along the way, which also give you points as well. When the game ends, you are trying to see how many points you got based on the number of life that you have on different planets, and how difficult it was to create life on these planets. So it's pretty interesting to play. There was one big rule that we got wrong, because in the objective planets, some of the wording is wrong. They use the word create rather than created. So to us, create felt as if you must do it on that time, on that turn, to be able to score those objective points. But it should have been created. There are some planets objectives which actually require you to do the actions during that turn to score the objectives. But most of it was, as long as you have already done so, you can then fulfill the objectives very quickly. So that was a big, it kind of irritated us that we only kind of felt or discovered it like 3/4 of the way through. So nevertheless, so the first playthrough was kind of flawed. So do I want to play again? Yeah, I want to try it again with the corrected rules to see how it is. It will definitely make us scoring all these things much more easier. The gameplay will flow much more smoother. Do I want to get a copy of it for myself? Most likely not. I would definitely want to try it again first to see how I feel about it before I think about getting a copy. So that's Exoplanets. Next up, I had a chance to demo the Godfather, Corleone's Empire by Simon Games. So this is a 2017 release, plays 2 to 5 players, takes about 60 to 90 minutes, and it's by designer Eric Lang and published by Simon. So in the game, players are different families trying to vie for control in New York City, and by collecting the right equipment cards and then turning in those equipment cards to fulfill certain jobs. Alright, which range from bribing people, hosing the storefronts, or even car bombs. Alright, throughout the game, you're also trying to store money in your little metal suitcase, and from there you can use the metal suitcase to bribe characters, so increase the number of characters you have. It is a worker placement game actually, and where you place your bosses or your thugs will increase the number of influence you have in certain areas, so that when people activate the shop fronts or the different locations in your area that you control, you also get benefits along the way. We did not play the full game. We kind of had a shortened demo, so we couldn't feel the full effects of it. Would I want to try it again? Yes, I want to play it again for sure, just to see what it's all about. Because my fellow podcasters have a lot of fun with it. They rave about it, so I want to try it again to see whether I enjoy it as well. Would I search for a copy for myself? Would I buy a copy for myself? I would like to try it first before I decide on that. Some of the component qualities are a bit worse for wear, like the cards after several plays, especially in demo copy, they were not of the best quality of cards, and components are okay. The metal suitcases are fine, but yeah, I would not search for a copy right now. I would definitely want to try it first before I decide whether I'll buy it or not. So that's The Godfather, Corleone's Empire by Simon. Next, I played Whistle Stop. It's a 2017 release by Bezier Games and will be coming out around Gen Con period. It plays 2 to 5 players, takes about 75 minutes to play, and it's by designer Scott Caputo. This is a very interesting game coming out from Bezier Games. It is pick up and deliver, alright, but you're building the map of the board as you play the game. And there are different types of stations that you can land on. There are also cubes along the way where you can pick up and then deliver to these stations to either score points or get other abilities. But mainly you're trying to score points so that when the game ends, you see who has the most points. The other interesting thing is that you're using coal most of the time to do actions or to move your train forward. But if you want to move backwards or if you want to move backwards, then you need to use whistles to be able to do so. So I found myself enjoying the game. I was kind of surprised because even though it is at its core pick up and deliver, there are certain elements to it that makes it interesting, because whether you want to rush across the map to get to the end and put all your trains there so that you can end the game, or you want to middle your way around, taking a long way around to get to the end so that you can score more points, because you can get shares when you deliver certain goods, and then these shares will also give you points at the end of the game. So I think what I like most was because you can build your own map along the way, so that makes the game much more interesting to me. So will I want to play the game again? Yes, I'll definitely want to play the game again. Will I want to get a copy? Yes, I think this is something that is pretty interesting. A slight twist to the pick up and deliver genre. So that's Whistle Stop by Bezier Games. Next on the list, we have Sentient. This is a 2017 release But plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 45 to 60 minutes, by designer J. Alex Caverna, and it's by publisher Renegade Game Studios. So this is interesting puzzle game. You have these very nice dice, and you're rolling them at the start of each round, and then you are trying to draft or purchase 4 different 4 robots to put into your player tableau. Now the interesting thing about this is that the dice will have certain numbers showing on the top when you roll them, and when you're putting these robots down, you're putting it between these dice, and you're trying to the robots will have certain instructions for you to either increase or decrease the number of dice, or do something about it, or leave it alone. But at the same time, each robot will have a certain requirement that will usually pertain to the 2 dice the card is in between. So you're trying to make sure that your robots requirements are met so that you can score points, and then at the end of the game, at the same time when you're getting these robots, it's also an area control kind of thing. So you're trying to put the more people there so that you can obtain these little roof tiles, which at the end of the game they will multiply by the number of that type of robots that you have collected throughout the entire game. So it only takes 3 rounds. It's pretty fast to play, but has quite a bit of thinking involved. It's quite satisfying when you manage to score all 4 of your robots. So would I want to play again? Yeah, I would like to play again, but would I want to seek out a copy of it? No, not really. I think the gameplay after a while will become repetitive because the number of robots there is kind of limited. There's not so many that is always very different. So yep, that's Sentient by Renegade Game Studios. Next up is Werewords, alright, and that's a 2017 release by Bezier Games and designer Ted Allspark. This plays 4 to 10 players and takes about 10 minutes to play. Now this is interesting because there was a slight dispute between On Games Insider and Werewords, and I got to play both of them at Origins this time. And I would say that they are quite different. There's definitely enough space in your collection to own both. Werewords have definitely certain differences from Insider. There's an app for Werewords which you can use to play the game. The other thing is also the person giving the clues can also be a werewolf in this case. So that is a twist that is not in Insider. And lastly, the person giving the clues has these cheats to give players, so that at the end when the villagers are discussing who is the werewolf, they can see each of the people who have taken part in the guessing whether they have given correct answers or always been giving wrong answers. So from there they can help them to deduce who is the werewolf. But of course it could also just confuse a lot of people. So I would say that there's definitely differences between Werewords and Insider, and both can exist in your collection. Now would I want to play Werewords again? I would say maybe not. It is fun, it is interesting, but there's quite a lot of the werewolf and stuff like that, so I've gotten a bit tired of the whole weird stuff products, and I would have hoped to see something a bit more different, alright, in terms of having these Werewords. Would I want to take out a copy for myself? Probably not. It's not something I think I right now I'm a bit, like I said, a bit tired of the weird theme stuff. So right now it's not gonna be my cup of tea. So that's Werewords by Bezier Games. Alright, back to an oldie. This is 23 by Amigo Spiel. So again, Zach brought out one of his small box Amigo Spiel games. This is 23, is released in 2011. Alright, plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 25 minutes to play, and it's by designer Christophe Beher. So it is an interesting game. What you are trying to do is that you're trying to put your cards down. Alright, but you only can put them down in sequence. Now you have these chits in front of you that you can use, alright, so that allows you to add up to 5 or subtract up to 5 from the current top number on the middle of the table. So in this case, which allows you to then play cards which otherwise will be stuck in your hand and will become negative 1 point each when the round ends. Now alternatively, you can also take a purple chit which will allow you to skip, or for every purple sheet that you take, allows you to play a card on top of the number that's in the middle right now. So there's a lot of calculating and thinking and trying to push your luck involved, especially at the start of each round. You have to discard 2 cards, and so that kind of makes you think, oh, should I now keep all these cards in sequence, or should I just keep cards that have like 1 or 2 numbers differences between them. So it's very interesting. I definitely would want to play this game again. Alright, and if I can, I'll definitely want to seek out a copy for myself. So that's 23 by Amigo Spiel. Mintworks is next. This is a 2017 release. It plays 1 to 4 players, takes about 10-20 minutes to play, and it's by designer Justin Blask and publisher 524 Labs. So I played this game before when I went back to Singapore, and I got the chance to play it again a few times at Origins. And it is a very interesting worker placement game. It is small form, and it looks like mints that you can pop in the mouth. Please don't, because you will choke. But otherwise, it is a very interesting game. Its elegance is simple. It gives you the feel of worker placement, but doesn't overcomplicate things too much. And the choices that you make with this worker placement game is very interesting. Not only that, I heard that the solo game is very well done as well. So is this something that I want to play again? Yes, I would want to play this again. Would it be something I want to seek out and buy for myself? Yes, I would do that as well. So all in all, this is pretty fun. It's small form, it's interesting, and it's also a conversational topic. So this is Mintworks by 524 Labs. To run up the list of games that Bezier Games brought to Origins is The Palace of Mad King Ludwig. This will be released in 2017, I think near August or end of August fall period. It takes plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 75 minutes to play. It's by designer Ted Alsbach and by publisher Bezier Games. So this is a slightly different take on the Mad King Ludwig franchise. What you're trying to do now is players are trying to build in the center part of the board. That means they're building up the palace of Mad King Ludwig himself, building their own palaces now. So what they're doing is that they're trying to use different rooms, right, to score them points, and the rooms are now individually owned. Alright. At the same time, a moat will be building up around the room. So when a moat is fully enclosed, the game will end. There are also other ways where the game can end, but that's the primarily going to be the reason why the game ends. Now along the way, players are trying to collect swans, because different swans will give you points, and also depending on the objectives that you have, you're also trying to build different rooms, because then they'll give you points as well. The copy I played was not exactly the final print version, so the component qualities were not there yet, but the gameplay was there, so I could definitely experience the gameplay. Now, would I want to play again? Yes, I would like to play it again. My first playthrough was okay. I wasn't too like oh wow, this is so cool, but I definitely want to try again to get a better feel the second time around. Now, would this be a game that I want to buy? I definitely want to see my second playthrough first to see how I feel before I decide on this. It definitely did not grab me immediately like how Suburbia did, but it has potential. So that's Palace of Mad King Ludwig by Bezier Games. This War of Mine, the board game, is next. I played the video game version, so I was definitely very interested to find out more about the board game version to see how different it is. So this is released in 2017. It was a Kickstarter, and I think it's right now being shipped to the Kickstarter backers. It plays 1 to 6 players, takes about 45 to 120 minutes, and is by publisher Asmodee, but it was in the Ares Games booth. So the game pretty much plays like the video game. There's a book of scripts, which is stories essentially, where you will read through whenever you go for encounter, and then you will look at the stories, and then there will be like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, where you decide whether you help this or help this or not help, and then you read up the consequences. There's a lot of stack of cards that you need to go through. I think setup will be quite a pain, because there's quite a lot of cards to set up, to place around the house. You need to shuffle and place the cards face down. And so while you're moving around in this house that you have, exploring, scavenging, and getting equipment, you also need to go out into the world to find more stuff and meet these encounters and then get stuff from them. So I only did one round playthrough just to get a feel of it. I would say that, do I want to try again? Maybe I would like to try again, maybe as a single player, not necessarily as a team based thing. Because a lot of things you kind of decide you might as well just play it by yourself. There's no real need for so many people to make a decision actually, other than rolling dice. Would I want to buy it for myself? Probably not. I would like to play it one more time, but I feel that since it is a rather close replication of the video game itself, I might as well play the video game. It's much easier to play. There's animation and stuff like that, and I don't need to spend time setting it up. So that's This War of Mine, the board game. Next up is Seikatsu. Alright, this is a 2017 release, 2017 release by designer Matt Loomis and Isaac Shalev. Publisher IDW Games. It plays 1 to 4 players. It takes about 30 minutes to play. Now in the game, players are putting down these very nice discs, this plastic discs with birds and flowers on them in this garden. So you're trying to put birds of the same color together because you score a lot of points that way. But also at the end, there's also end game scoring where it depends on where you're sitting. You look down the rows of tiles being placed in the direction where you're sitting, and you also score points for where you have the most flowers in each column. Alright, and then that's it. So it's a very simple abstract game. The interaction is somewhat limited in a way, in the sense that you are trying to place the disc down, but not let other players place it such a way that they'll score a lot of points in that way. So if everybody plays it that way, then it becomes quite a straightforward. A bit like it felt like tic-tac-toe in a way, because if you play it a certain way, you know that tic-tac-toe is solvable. So in this case, after a while of placing near the end, it's kind of like, okay, it's time to score, and we'll see who wins the game. So would I want to try it again? Yeah, I'll give it a try. I want to see how the single player works. Would I search a copy for myself? Get a copy for myself? Probably not. I'm okay with it. It's kind of light, a bit too light for me. So that's Saikatsu by IDW Games. Next is Age of Thieves. This is a 2016 release. Plays 2 to 4 players. Takes about 60 to 120 minutes to play. It's by publisher Galacta, alright, or Heidenberger. And it is a somewhat disappointment for me, in the sense that what players are trying to do, they're thieves. They're trying to go around the city picking up gems along the way, and then eventually someone will go to the palace, which is in the middle, and steal the king's jewels, and then try to run away with it. Thieves players can stop each other from getting away with the king's jewel, and also the guards will be there as well to stop players from running away with it. Now the gameplay I had was, I guess it's kind of special. I hope it's just an edge case, where by the second or third round, one of the players managed to get a king's jewel and started running away with it, and most of us were pretty far away from the action, so we had to struggle to run up to the player who had the king's jewel, and eventually we did. But then it became like a free fall, like a bit of a comedic event happening. We were stealing, I stole from you, and then you trapped me so I cannot escape, and then I go to the dungeon, and so on and so forth. So all in all, it felt a bit too random, a bit too hard to predict for me, so much so that I didn't really enjoy it as much as my other friends who were playing the game did. So would I want to play again? No, I would give it a pass. Would I want to own it? No, definitely I would not want to own it as well. So that's Age of Thieves by publisher Galacta. Next is Yamatai. This is a 2017 release by Days of Wonder. Plays 2 to 4 players, takes about 40 to 80 minutes to play, and is by designer Bruno Catala and Mark Pequin. This, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews about it. Some really did not like it, some liked it. So we only managed to play a 2-player game of it. I'm not sure how more players will make it better or not. So what you're trying to do is that players are putting these boats along the way, along these different islands, and then if they manage to put the right combination of boat colors, they are allowed to build buildings on the island that these boats are touching, and then these buildings will give you points, as well as you can also pick up certain symbols on these islands, and you can trade in these symbols to get different characters, which will then give you certain benefits and certain powers. So it has been likened to Five Tribes, but it is not really like Five Tribes. It is its own game, and I think with 2 players we had 2 boats, which means that we did 2 actions per turn. And I know that if you play with 3 or 4 players, then you only get to do 1 action per turn. So I guess that's where it feels like you do not have enough actions, the game ends too early, and also then a lot of AP will happen. But with 2 players, it went really fine, and it was quite a good game. I enjoyed myself in Yamatai. So will I want to play again? Yes, I would like to play again with more players to see how different it is with the 2-player playing Yamatai. And will I seek out a copy? Yeah, I would. It is like all Days of Wonder games. It's very pretty to look at, the components are good, and artwork is good as well. So that's Yamatai by Days of Wonder. So that's all the games I played. I hope you enjoyed this review of all the games I've played at Origins. So do subscribe to this YouTube channel and give me a few likes. I would appreciate it a lot. So stay tuned for more reviews coming up in this YouTube channel. Thank you. Bye.